Howdy, Grouchy Old Liberal here. I have a quick one today about Executive Order 11246. So one of my favorite things to teach when I was a business professor was human resource management. And the way I taught it was from a very legalistic context. I'm not a lawyer, but in those courses over a long period of years, I taught the application of civil rights laws, court cases, and legislation, and how profoundly they affected not only human resources but the operation of companies and organizations in the United States. So the really short story about this executive order is that the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which was the most important law passed in the United States that was not also part of the Constitution, my personal opinion. And that was passed in 64. Lyndon Johnson signed it. It, of course, was passed because of the work and pressure put on by Martin Luther King Jr. and others. So it was a profound law that had huge effects on employment and huge effects on housing as well, and some other things. So after it was in effect, it kind of got to be understood that it did not apply to the federal government. So Johnson in 1965 wrote an executive order that said, look, all this stuff that was in that law, all those concepts, principles, rules, etc., they also apply to the federal government. Very, very important action that he took, because the federal government is the largest customer, if you will, of pretty much the whole United States. And so in there, hiring contractors, purchasing things, doing business with companies, they had to use the existing civil rights legislation. And it has had a very solid, positive effect on the operation of companies and so forth. So there's a lot of people that are hating on that kind of stuff these days, either affirmative action or DEI or that kind of thing. And what I would say is that those people who are hating on it have never read much about it. In the early days, in the first 20 years after Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed, different companies and governmental entities did try to be pretty aggressive in implementing some of those rules. The theory behind it was that there was huge amounts of existing discrimination in the workplace. There was that, like you would not believe, and that it needed to be rectified. That's where they had quotas and set-asides and things like that. But by the time that 20 years had passed, all of those things had been outlawed by the courts. There's famous cases, can't go all into it in a short video, but they took all that away. So when people say, well, it's all discriminatory against white people and it gives all the jobs to minorities. No, it doesn't. Affirmative action doesn't. DEI doesn't. All it's doing is trying to keep awareness of a diversity and the need to accommodate diversity in organizations. That's all that's being done. And I also say that as a person who used to be the chair of a DEI committee. We called ours EDI, but you get the idea. So President Trump wrote an executive order in the last month taking away Lyndon Johnson's executive order 11246. That was a huge mistake. There will be increased discrimination, increased unfair treatment, and all that kind of stuff in the workplace because of taking away 11246. Also, I don't know where they think they're going to go. There have been scores of major court cases based on 11246 and on the Civil Rights Act of 64 and its subsequent editions. And so, I don't know. Anyway, big mistake. Should not have done it. It will be something that we as a nation come to regret. keep trying to have a good day.